U.S. stocks continued to rebound on Friday, with the major indices ending a weeks-long losing streak with upbeat corporate results. The S&P 500 rallied into the close and ended a 7-week losing streak, and this was the best week for the S&P 500 since November of 2020. The S&P 500 also erased its losses for the month of May. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Nasdaq Composite were also up in similar form. On Friday was the release of the Personal Consumption Expenditures, or the PCE, and this is the Fed's favorite gauge with regard to inflation. PCE increased 6.3% in April over last year compared to March's 6.6% increase. Core PCE rose by 4.9% compared to 5.2% in March, and although this shows some improvement, it's not enough. So the Fed is expected to continue raising interest rates. Also remember, much of the data we're getting now is first quarter data, particularly the earnings. And this data coming in the second quarter is likely to be worse. And we're not going to get that news until July. So I think we may have a very volatile market for the next few months. And although we've had a good bounce off the bottom, keep watching the oscillators, and particularly volume. We need good volume on up days. If we have light volume, then the rally could fade into another sell-off without conviction. And you know what they say about cats and failed bounces. So let's take a look at the charts. We're going to look at two charts today, beginning with the 2-year weekly chart on the volatility index. And as you can see in the upper left, the symbol is $VIX using stockcharts.com. Now, we've looked at this before. From this peak up here in the upper left, we had a nice dish coming on down, bottom and basing, and then we started moving on up. So, although recently we haven't gone too much higher than that 35 level, perhaps up to that 40 or reaching toward that 40 level, here's what we want to look at, are these lows. You see this low here? This is a higher low, a higher low. So we're looking for this. This needs to break that cycle. This needs to come down below these moving averages. If this move comes down here, starts to bottom and base, we could get another eruption on the way up, and it might exceed these previous ones here, and that would be trouble for the stock market. As you know, when the VIX goes up, the stock market goes down. Right now, the VIX is going down, and thus the stock market's going up. But we don't want to see that reverse. Watch this move down here. Again, this moving average is a great placement if this starts to bottom and base. Watch out. In the lower portion, you can see here the MACD. We see the fast line is trying to move down and through the slow line, but it's not doing a very good job. And that gives me pause for concern. We're above the zero line, so it has strength. It doesn't want to head down too far, too fast. Another concern. Up here to the upper portion of the chart, you see the RSI. We've moved down here. We're right at that 50.84 level. So that's the midline or 50 level. Just watch that, see how it comes down here. It hasn't been dipping too far below that midline. So again, keep your eyes out. Now, let's go take a look at our charts. And we're now looking at the 6-month daily chart on the spiders, the SPY, and the close on Friday was 415.26. So from this bottom and basing here, we're getting a reasonable bounce up to this point here. We're under that 50 EMA. That could be important. Let's watch that here in a second. But first, what we've been watching is this channel, the bottom trend line through here like that, more or less, and the upper line through there like that, more or less. So we got a bounce off of that bottom trend line, and we're going to be heading on up. We first have to go through that 50 EMA. Now, that has posed trouble for the market back in this level here. So that's definitely the first level we need to get passed through. And then we need to move on up here and see what happens at that upper channel line. So if we start to roll over like it did here, or even roll over like it did here, more or less within these channel lines, then there could be trouble. So moving on down here, the oscillator volume that we need to take a look at is the volume. And this volume is not too bad. It is increased over, say, back this period here, but it's not substantial. We want to see declining volume as the market moves down, so we get rid of the sellers, but on the way up we want increasing volume. We're not really seeing that. It's been staying level here. We need a few more days to see if the trend changes, but that's one oscillator to watch. Moving here into the MAC, it looks good. Nice bottoming and basing finally, and the move of the fast line up and through, but we're still weak at a -5 level or lower. So we have to watch out, see where this moves. While we're in this below zero territory, things can get a bit dicey. We want to see if we can move up and through that zero or midline convincingly. Look at this here, that rollover, that was ugly. We don't want that to happen. So watch that. And here is your histogram. We've definitely had a bottom and basing and a move on up, but watch out for this same thing here, that rollover. Hopefully this can continue higher, but watch out for that rollover, especially if we're below those channel lines. Here to RSI, this shows that things are strengthening. Definitely nice dish, nice move on up, and we're above that 50 line, so we are gaining strength, but we're only at a moderate level of 63.82. I'd like to see it move up into that overbought territory above that 80 to that 100 level. Same thing here for stochastics. Nice move up, but it's only moderately above that 50 line, and the slow line needs to drag on up here as well, get to that oversold territory, and then watch it for a rollover move like that. Down here into Williams, and as usual, Williams has spiked up. It's up in that overbought territory. Hopefully we stay up there for a while, but again, watch a rollover move. Back up here to the price chart. One last look at that trend line. So again, very, very important we get through the 50 EMA and up to this level and hopefully higher. We need to break up and through this trend line convincingly, not like this. We need to move up and through. So watch the volume, watch the oscillators, watch the trend lines. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.